What's up, everybody? Let me start over. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Rossi, and I'm back with another amazing show. I have another talent here in Sacramento. He's a director. His name is Ethan Eskilson. I hope I'm saying your name right, Ethan. He'll be able to introduce himself to you guys. But I heard about Ethan from Trevor Harris, who was on the show about a couple of months ago. And he's a screenwriter. He's excellent. I'll play a little clip of what he did a little bit later in the show. But through Trevor, I was introduced to Ethan, and I watched some of his films today. We're going to talk to him, and I'm happy that you guys are all here. Thank you so much, and let's meet Ethan. What's up, Ethan?
Hey, how you doing, Rossi?
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Very good, very good. So, like I told the audience, I met you through Trevor Harris, who is a screenwriter, director here and here in Sacramento. You'll be able to see Trevor and Ethan's film, The Worst. Yep. The Worst. And didn't he make appearance in 35 and Dog Years?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. I was like,
but I don't think so. He's definitely all over The Worst. Yeah.
Yes, he is, and he did a really good job. You guys, that film is a short film. It's really good. We'll talk more about it. But right now, I just wanted to welcome you to Rossi's Club. I'm so happy that you took time out to come and talk and let the viewers and the listeners kind of get to know you a little bit. So, director here in Sacramento, did you grow up here in Sacramento?
I grew up in Modesto, and then floated around a little bit, but I've been in Sac for about 20 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been here for about 20 years, and I've always been into film and all of that. I used to go to like the 10 by 10. You ever hear that? It was like it's kind of like a 48, but they gave people 10 days to make a 10-minute film.
Okay.
And I would always go to that, and I was always like interested, but it took me until just maybe like 5 or 6 years ago before I started doing it myself.
Okay.
Got into it. Yeah.
Do you write are you also writing your films? Okay, yeah. So I should have put that in there. Okay, all right. So let me mention a couple of films. So like I said, we have The Worst. That's his newest film, 35 and Dog Years. That's also a new film, you guys. That one, I watched that today. It's about a dog's life, like it's the perspective from a dog getting older. And you have a lovely young lady who's the voiceover of the dog. The dog's name is Bella, absolutely adorable dog. And Bella's telling a story of basically getting older and, remembering the things that she used to be able to do, like running to the river and all this other stuff. And then, she had her little paw had some issues because she's getting older. So she had to wear a little sock for that. And it's just a short film from her perspective of getting older. Also, before we talk about that, he has a lot of other films, Ethan. He has a Rocks Tech 400. I watched a little bit of that today. You guys will enjoy that. In the event of a crow invasion, that's another one. We have magazines. I mean, you have a lot of films. You've been, I think this goes back to 2005, I think I found on YouTube. But let's talk about 35 and Dog Years.
Yeah.
The concept.
35 and Dog Years was a 48. So it was a part of the 48-hour film competition. And, it's really funny. Right before that competition, I had worked on another film with somebody else's film. And there were just a lot of people involved, and it was a big process. And, it was just a lot of people and a lot of things. And I think the 48 was like the weekend after. And so everybody's getting their teams together and kind of talking about what they were doing. And I was like, I'm going to make my 48 in a hole, like just completely like in a cave by myself. And I just how it is. I mean, on film sets, you're working with a ton of people. And I was like, I just need to make something small and do that. And so it's funny. That's why I kind of love those 48s is
Right.
it just kind of happens. And so with that one, I ended up getting mockumentary. And so with
Okay.
mockumentary, I was like, oh, I can make something about my dog. You know, that'll be easy. And low stakes. I can, you know, I can do it pretty easily on my own. Like that. And
Right.
it turned out really nice because it's just a good way to process like thinking about my dog getting older and
Right.
you know, yeah. I'm always
Absolutely.
I'm always trying to find. I feel like most of my stuff is kind of like silly or like I'm trying to be weird for the sake of being weird or whatever. But
Right.
making that 35 and dog years was nice because it felt more honest. Um, and people cared. Like usually
Yes.
people don't care that much about my movies. You know, they're like, yeah, fine, okay. But 35 and dog years was the first one where people actually, you know, like said nice things and
Right.
it just made me like go, oh, okay, maybe there is something to um, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
showing a little of yourself like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, C-Bar. He said, hi, all. Been waiting for this interview. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, watching that today, and of course, if you're a pet lover, whatever you have, this hits you. You know, first of all, to you, Ethan, Bella looked like my childhood dog, just a different color. Okay. And it brought back that love that I had for her. Name was Mrs. And this was our childhood dog. I mean, this, you know, greet you at the door when we come home from school. And so she died when I was like in sixth or seventh grade. And I remember how that hurt so bad because I've never lost a pet before. And it's like losing a family member because they are your family. But I remember thinking, you know, when I don't ever want to feel that hurt again, you know, from a pet, you know, that you grew up with up until, you know, from, you know, grade school all the way to middle school, you know, or junior high. So watching that film, first of all, Bella's absolutely adorable. Okay. So you got me there, but hearing, you know, her speak about her life and when it gets to the part where she's talking about worrying about her owner and how her owner would be when she's gone. I mean, I'm watching this today, guys, and I'm laying on the couch and I'm crying. I mean, you tear up. It was a good film. I loved how you did that, you know, mockumentary from Bella's perspective. Is Bella okay though?
No, she passed away.
Did she
Yeah.
really? Okay. Did
Yeah.
she so a little bit after or how long after the film?
I made that in June.
Okay.
And then she died in December. Yeah.
Really? So sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you were able to have her in a film to where, I mean, you shared with us, you know, and I'm sure a lot of folks know how that feels. Beautiful. I mean, I love that. Now, the worst.
Oh yeah.
This is funny. So this short film is about a man who's just not the best guy, and he's having effed up day ever. But the way he responds to it, he's hilarious. How did you come up with that premise?
You know, it's funny, like well, I had seen a movie. I think I may be like one of the three people that saw it. Beau is Afraid. It's like a Ari Aster. It was an Ari Aster
Okay.
movie that nobody
Ari
saw.
Aster.
And it had like it was very much kind of like a fever dream of a
Okay.
movie. And so I think that was in my head. But then honestly, I think I was feeling like anxious, you know, one day, and I started writing. I journal a lot, and I think I was writing about like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I initially first thought like I could get fired, you know, for like some horrendous mistake. And then I thought about, yeah, my mom and my sister like telling me I wasn't welcome at Christmas.
Right,
Kind of
right.
went from it kind of went from there. And then once I got going, then it kind of just became its own thing. You know,
Okay.
I'm not really afraid of like getting stabbed or
Oh
whatever. You
my gosh, that was so.
but that was kind of like the idea is just like, oh, can just something bad happen to this guy and can it just spiral, spiral, spiral?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really funny. I love your sense of humor in the film. Well, the what you wrote and the character. Trevor Harris plays the lead in this film. And Trevor's funny. He's absolutely funny in this film. The way he reacts to everything, and then, like he said, the mom and sister. I'm watching. I'm like, oh my god, they're not allowing him to come over for Christmas. Like everything just gets worse for this guy. And then when he gets stabbed, his response to it, I'm laughing because it's just so funny. It's just so funny. And I don't want to tell you guys the end, but when you see the end of the film, and go and check it out, it's a short film. It's in and out. It's really funny. You will laugh. But when it gets to the end, he does and what he's doing, it's funny. So I like your, like you said, the it was weird, weirdly funny.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because you know, like I write, you know, a decent amount of stuff, and you know, you'll send your scripts to people and do things like that, and usually, you know, nobody cares that much. And the worst was one where like a few people were like, "Oh, I'll help you make that," you know, like they were
Okay.
kind of more excited about it. And so it's kind of funny, like the way that works is
Right.
just people's willingness. And you're like, all right, sounds good. And then when Trevor was like, oh, I'll play the lead character, I was sold. And that one really presented something fun too, where, you know, how it's little segments, you
Yeah.
know, and it's always Trevor. And then it's
Yeah.
like, you know, random people like his neighbors, his mother, his
Right.
boss.
Right.
And so that really, I made that in November when Bella was still around, but
Okay.
she was like, you know, I couldn't be gone that long.
Okay.
And so that whole shoot came up because we could do it on like 5 separate days in like 2-hour, 3-hour little blocks to
Okay.
capture kind of each little piece of it.
Okay.
And it was so fun to be able to one have Trevor and the production crew with me all the time, but then to be able to work with different actors
Right.
in each instance. That made it really cool.
I want to say, you know, I have a list of the actors. Shout out to Taylor Brummett. You guys remember Taylor Brummett? She was on the show last year. It was towards the holiday season, I believe. But Taylor Brummett, an amazing actress here in Sacramento. Things are happening fast for her. She won an award, so you guys can go back to Rossi's Clubhouse and check out Taylor. I mean, this girl is rising fast. She was really good in that. Really funny. Ethan, of course, was in the film. Michael Nally. I don't want to say the other name. Monica Viher, Crystal Wong, Roman Spinelli, and Vajalka Reskepi. I think that's the name. Anyways, I think that's the name. Those are the actors that are in the film, and they all did a real job. All I want to say is, don't kill my cats again. That's all I got to say is I don't want you to kill my cats again. I love that scene, by the way. I thought they were joking at first until you find out that he killed the cats. Your creative process. What is your process? I like to know what artist process is in creating.
You know, for writing, my process currently is I just try, like if I'm in writing mode, I just try to write like 90 minutes a day.
Okay.
And I usually just set a timer and just kind of see what happens. But I found with myself, like, I think with creativity, what kind of got in my way earlier on is that I would want to like show up, whether it be at the computer or wherever it is, I'd want to show up and if I wasn't like good, you know, if I didn't show up and write like a good thing, I was like, oh, this is stupid. I should just call it, you know? And finally, as I've gotten older, I'm realizing that I just have to show up for it every day. And then if I just, you know, continue to do that, and I even show up the days I don't want to, that I start to get a rhythm and start to get more stories going. It becomes more of like a habit. So once I've got like my script, like I said before, like I think I'll often like send things around, and if there's interest, you know, I might do something before something else. But then once I decide, like with the worst, right? Like once I decide what I'm going to make, then I have to start filling it out.
Okay.
Like the production team and the actors and all of that. And for me, like I really get in my own way with anything like creative. So I really do well to have like a couple of people that I know are on board that will keep it going. because left to my own devices, I swear I'll just like every third day, I'll just be like, this is horrible. What am I doing? You know, I need to quit. So yeah, honestly, I just muscle through it. And then
Right.
like with the worst, you know, we found all those locations. We set up all the people, you know, that were going to play the parts. And then I just work with the cinematographer and we kind of talk about how we're going to shoot it.
That sounds good.
Um, the worst was really, we tried to be really conservative with the number of setups we were doing and, you know, how fancy we were getting with shots and stuff to try to keep it reasonable time wise.
Yeah, it was shot well. The cinematography, everything was shot well. I mean, you know, when you do these films, you because you know a lot of films take a lot of time to shoot and put everything together. As far as directing, though, with your directing, how did you come about getting into directing? I mean, was it writing and directing?
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Okay,
the first I made like a couple of films when I was a kid,
okay,
and I was just making them on my own. So I guess I was directing.
okay,
And then when I came back to it, yeah, it was just that I wanted to make something.
okay.
So I ended up directing, and now I'm continuing to do it because you know if you're writing stories, it's like you're the one that has to go make them. Nobody
Right.
else is so far. Nobody is knocking on my door trying to go make my scripts. So so I'm left to do that on my own. But directing it's really fun. I am really curious about working with actors more. Like
Okay.
so much of my stuff has been like figure it out ahead of time, think about it, figure out the shots, you know, line everything up. But then it's like you kind of come to set and you kind of get what you get, you know, and I would
Yeah.
love, and that's partially just a time thing too. And just like, you know, a novice director that maybe, you know, I don't know what to say or I don't know how to move things. But
Okay.
as a director, I would really love like I recently went to a screening and there were all these people from like a theater department that had done like a movie with this guy and he's up there talking about how they were workshopping ideas and doing all of that and that like as far as directing goes, that kind of stuff really interests me. And I would
Okay.
love to be able to really like spend more time with actors and figure
Okay.
something out and take that into a film.
Right. Did you watch a lot of films as a kid? Were you one of those that just enjoyed the cinema?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've always loved movies and
Yeah.
I you know I still watch a ton of stuff and go to a ton of movies in the theater and yeah I definitely that's definitely my my medium, you know.
I absolutely get that. I love that. I think I was I know actually when Netflix came out and I heard about that, it was like, what are you talking about? You mean to tell me there is an app where I can watch just movies and
Yeah,
just many different types of movies, which I was so happy about because I was a kid that was a dreamer. I loved movies. I loved old Hollywood. Um, you know, that was the best time, the black and whites. And I think um, that's what Hollywood was to me, glitz and glamour and just, you know, the directors that were out. Do you have a favorite film or a favorite director that you're like that inspired you to say, you know, I want to do this?
oh boy, you know, I mean so many like right now
Right?
like one of my favorite directors is Yorgos Lanthimos. He like made Poor Things this
Okay.
last year, made The Favorite. uh
Okay.
He's one of my favorite. I love Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay.
Um, so many. I mean,
Right.
there's so many good ones, but I'm definitely like that, like Ari Aster, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm really big on that. Like I'm not so much like, you know, Leo's fine, right? But it's not Leo that gets me to like go, oh, what's that
Yeah.
movie? You know, it's usually the director or the
Okay.
writer. Um, and that's definitely I feel like when I was younger, I still am into music, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's just getting old or what, but like I look at like the Coachella lineup and I
Yeah.
have no idea. And I swear to God, like 10 years ago, I used to look at
Yeah.
the Coachella lineup and I was like, yep, yep, I know all these
Yeah.
things. And that ship is completely sailed for me. But oddly enough, with movies, I feel like I'm all, oh, I think that like even when I'm like 90, I'll be like hip in the movie world, you know? At least I hope. God, I hope I don't. I hope 10 more years don't go by and then I'm just like, whatever, I don't care about anything anymore.
You know what? It's so funny because you say with music, and it's so true because about 10, 11 years ago, listened to a lot of radio, and I remember as time went on, I didn't know who certain artists were when I used to know all of them, but I still love music, but I couldn't tell you like I like I could who was the lineup at Coachella, But I think that's why I do a lot of interviews and have a lot of musical artists on because I just love music, and like in my past life, I was like a great singer and all of that and wanted to do that. So being that I can't do that, I just have a love for music, and all types of music. If it's good, I love to listen to it. But I do get that when as you get older, you don't know who certain people are anymore. When I used to know, like my sister and I were really big into like MTV and the newest artists and the independent artists, just all of that. Now it's like, foreign. So I try to stay up to date, Instagram, or I have nephew and nieces that will hit me up and let me know who's the best artist out right now, who they're listening to. What is your favorite genre of movies?
Woo! You know, I'm so into everything. Like I really just like I'm a big like what they call the auteur, like the
Okay.
writer director. So I like the
Okay.
idea of it being like I like that. You know, a lot of the people I'm really a big fan of tend to like write their own thing.
Okay.
Um, I like, I mean, I really do like everything, but I like things that feel strange or weird or maybe like reflect us like back in like a
Okay.
weird way, maybe not an obvious way. So maybe I don't like movies in like the real world. I'm not huge on like historical like stuff like that.
Okay.
I kind of like, yeah, the weird stories and the weird things that like kind of reflect back on me,
Okay.
or on us.
I like I'm a huge horror film fan. I love horror films. I love movies, but horror films, I remember as a kid, I would sit and sneak and watch Hellraiser on Showtime, and I'd be in my room in the dark, and the darker the better, and just the scariness of it, the weirdness of this guy who needs humans to bring himself and build his body back up. I remember just loving that, or of course your Nightmare on Elm Streets. But then I can go back to A Tree Grows in Brooklyn back in 1950 whenever it came out, and just sit and watch that, and just to see how they were able to shoot films back then when they didn't have as much technology as we have now. I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating that they were able to shoot a film like, for instance, something like Gone with the Wind way back in the 30s and have such huge sets, and just the art of it. I've always been into it. It's just amazing to me, or the Godfather series, someone who wrote that, and then to work with all those actors and have so much going on, but to put out something like that. How are you with working with actors? Because I know you said you like to, but is it
Yeah.
difficult? Is it, because some of us, like I told Griselda, some of us can be much.
Oh, it's funny. Like so far, I've had really good experiences. And I've worked with like friends a lot,
Okay.
friends like, like Trevor, like he's not trying to be an actor, but he was like, I'll help you out. I'll have the conversations with you, so I've done a lot of that, but then I've also used like SAT casting, to
Yes.
find
Oh,
actors,
absolutely.
and I've had great experiences
Right.
with that so far. So I hope that I can get to the point where I have to deal with like some head cases or some some you know just have a little bit of that. That would be great.
Hollywood.
Because if there was some if we got to that point, it would at least mean that we were making that effort, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and working on it, working through it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't feel like I've had a ton of experience, but it's great, and I really hope to work with all kinds of different actors in
Right.
the future. I've also been trying to like produce, you know, and just
Okay.
help other people essentially like make their movies.
Right.
And I really like that capacity because something happens to me like when I when it's my movie, I'm such a stress case and I'm so in my head about just self-doubt essentially, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
But like when I produce, like if you know you had a script and you were excited about it and I was like, "Oh, you know, this is great. I want to help you out." There's none of that. You know, it's just all like charging forward.
Right.
And that's really I really like that. That helps me like I can be in a more relaxed state when I'm doing that or helping in other ways. And then
Right.
that's cool because I've had a lot of good interactions with people or actors when I was the producer. In fact, that's when I first met Taylor. I was helping my
Yeah.
friend James, James Paul Nelson, make a movie, and Taylor was an actress in that movie. And
Right.
you know, I hadn't met her prior to that.
Okay.
But that was a great experience. And then, like you said, Taylor's in everything, so she's
Yeah,
turned up
she is. I mean,
movie and you know more Friends movies and
right, right. I speaking of also going back to Trevor Harris, you know, I know he's a screenwriter and I think he directs a little bit. I wanted to play a clip of him talking about his film Man in the Mirror, if you don't mind. I want you guys to so you guys can remember who we're talking about. Man in the Alley is the first one that you've done. Can you tell us a little bit about that film and the backstory, how you came up with that?
I had thought of an idea that involved like an alien and all this stuff.
Just a little clip. You guys go back and check that interview out. That's who we're talking about. That's Trevor Harris, who we're talking about that was in the film. Are you one of those directors that, are you one to stick to the script? Are you just one like to that script that you wrote, or are you okay with, you know, the ad-libbing or, you know?
oh, so I think I'm okay with the idea of ad-libbing
Okay.
if you've like taken in the stuff and you're
Yeah.
like living in the moment with it, ad-libbing, as opposed to like I don't really know the lines and I'm kind of just making my way through it. But true ad-libbing,
Yeah.
absolutely, because you know writing is a funny thing and you can write clunky lines and if
Right.
somebody feels more comfortable saying it one way, you know, I'm no Aaron Sorkin, so I'm not. Yeah, you know, I totally understand. And I'm just so, you know, it would be different if somebody was paying me millions of dollars to do stuff. I might have
Right.
more of an ego, but right now I'm just like, please come play with me, please help me, you know, make my things.
Right.
So, and I also like with actors and different lines. I think too, like for me, just anybody that wants to engage, like about the story. So like if let's say you were acting, you know, in a short for me or something, and you called me and you were like, Ethan, I want to talk about scene 6, you know,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. I don't like this. I would just be so excited that you were giving it that energy.
Nice.
You know, that I'd be like, oh, this is awesome. You know, like let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. So I think absolutely I'd be open. Anybody that wants to bring any kind of engagement
Nice.
to that kind of stuff, I'm like, please.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
With your films that you've done, do you look back and, you know, think of what you could have done differently? Do you ever go through that? Because I know that you're like you said, you second guess sometimes. Because I think a lot of us that are in this field, it's a lot of second guessing. I mean, with acting for me, it's I think I stand in my way as well because, you know, you're overthinking the audition, you're overthinking this because you really care about it and you really want to, this is what your passion is. Have you go through that where you look back and say, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back and go, oh, it would have been great, you know, to have this shot, or, oh man, I wish I had had him look at his feet, you know, or
Right.
like silly stuff like that.
Right.
It's always nice to go back and and try to see, like, exactly like you said, ask yourself those questions like, oh, where could I have allotted more time?
Right. Okay.
What could I, if I was able in that moment to be more present, what could I have said to the actor, to get whatever it is I was hoping for, maybe that I didn't get.
Right.
But a lot of the time, I think I'm pretty forgiving to myself, because really for me, I'm like, I'm still finding it, still figuring it out, and
Right.
so I hope that I can just keep doing it, and hopefully just by keeping, continuing to do it, just get better and better. So I don't spend too much time looking at the old ones and going, oh boy. But
I'm with you. I won't watch things that I've done. The small number of things that I've done. I don't like to, because it messes with you. So, but I'm always curious how other artists, go about that, because you have some that do go back and like nitpick and watch every little thing. So I'm always curious how others deal with that.
well, as an actor, I think it's funny, because I acted in a short that Trevor made recently. And I think I had a hard time watching it. And I think that he went through something very similar with The Worst, where he had a hard time watching it. And like, that's what's kind of funny is I would think before I had done it, I would think that like, oh, I'll act in Trevor's movie.
Right.
And that will like connect me to it, or you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yep.
But it almost, and not in a negative way or anything, but it almost was like, I can't even watch this, because I'm completely like taken out of that. That's just me.
Right.
And so it's such a funny thing.
It is.
I like the idea though of acting more. I recently acted in another buddy's thing, and this is just more just to be helpful,
Okay.
And I'm also finding that, if I'm going to go, like if you were making a movie, it's like I could go and help you, and I could like, be the boom guy, or, any of these things, right? Which is fine. But I'm all acting. Like if you're going to go and help your friends, if you can get a role of acting, it's kind of a nice opposite. So that I go and make my movies, I can be like behind the camera and doing that. But then if I'm helping other people, I'm like in front of the camera. So it's completely different. And then maybe I can get to the point where I can watch those movies.
Right. I remember. So have you participated in a place called SAC? Do you send yours to other film festivals outside of Sacramento, or even, because we have a lot of film festivals here in Sacramento that goes on?
Yeah. I really like my new wave of like making stuff took off from the 48, like from that competition in town. But then I have submitted a script. I submitted a script to the PCS, a place called Sacramento. But I don't know if it was as family friendly as they would have hoped. But I hope, I really I think that competition is really cool though, a place called Sacramento. And I think it's really neat. So that's one I didn't submit this year, but I think I might try to submit again next year. And, cause they get such a good turnout at their event.
Every year. So you guys, just to let you know, a place called Sacramento is a film fest here in Sacramento that happens every year. I think they just celebrated, let's see, I have it on the wall. I think they just celebrated their 24th year, I believe, but it's years. And what they do is once a year, if you're a writer, you submit your script. And when you submit your script, they choose 10 of the best scripts, and then you go off and make your film. The film premieres in October, and it's at a beautiful theater here in Sacramento called the Crest Theater. They give you the red carpet treatment. I mean, there's media there. The theater itself, it's absolutely beautiful on the inside. I mean, a great place. And you meet everyone who's made a film, actors, everyone comes for that night, that final night to have your film premiered. and it's wonderful. And what Ethan's talking about is the 48-hour film. Another one, you have 48 hours to make a film. I mean, there's so much going on here in Sacramento, but a place called Sacramento is just, it's awesome. And you are right. Every year I've gone, I think I didn't go last year. I think the last year I went was 2022 when Hidden in Plain Sight, which is written by Misha DeSalle, a great film. That was the last time I was there, and wow, the turnout. And when you get like big plaques that are made for you, I mean, it's a big deal here in Sacramento, and we look forward to it every year. I think that'd be awesome. You know, I think Bella's, the 35 in dog years, that would have been a fun one in a place called Sac. You probably would have won with that one. Even the worst, you probably would have won with those films, like for real. Because the films have to be 10 minutes, no longer than 10 minutes. And so that's the film festival. And it's awesome that you have people, even the 48-hour film challenge. That's hard to get that done in 48 hours.
Yeah. What's cool
A lot of stress.
Certainly. And that's also why, like with the one with Bella, I was like, I'm going to make something small that's, you know, that I can manage, because I knew I didn't want to drive myself crazy.
Right.
But in the same way I work against myself sometimes, the 48 is cool because you have no time for hesitation.
Yeah.
You just, you know, and then, you know, they're not always going to turn out great, but that's kind of like, that's what I really love too, is that it just, like, I don't know. It's funny with movies. Like, I don't know. Everybody can get so caught up in like trying to be pro, but like turn on the TV and we just scroll through $1 million pro content and go, So like the thought that I'm going to make something, you know what I'm saying? It's like having that, like letting that go and just having the freedom to express yourself and make the thing. I really like you asked about film festivals, and
yes.
I don't know if anybody else has talked about this like on your show, but I am like waiting for that film festival world to just explode, because don't get me wrong, like Sundance, Cannes, you know, the place called Sacramento, some of these things are fine.
Yeah.
But in the filmmaker world, it's just so weird. Because if you go on, are you familiar with Film Freeway?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So you go on Film Freeway and they'll happily, you know, take $1,000 from you to enter into, you know, the Arkansas River Independent International Film Festival. And it just is this kind of, I think, like insidious thing. And I just hate the idea. I use this analogy. My mom is a quilter. She's a very talented quilter. She's in a quilt guild. She's really into it. She makes these beautiful things. But when she makes something and like presents it, nobody goes, well, what's next for this quilt? You know, what are you going to do with this quilt? Are you going on Film Freeway and spending $2,000 more so that Larry in Wisconsin can go, you know? And I don't, you know, it's so hard because it's so hard to make a movie. Any movie that gets made is really like a feat and is amazing and great. But the film festival stuff gets me because I feel like people feel like that's a part of the process now and that they need to do it. And if they don't, they're like doing a disservice. And then it's just like it's like a feedback loop. And I don't know. I'm just like on to the next one.
I get that.
Until, don't get me wrong now, Rossi, if I had something that I was really in love with, you know, I pray that maybe someday I can do that. Then I might, you know,
right.
You know.
So are you looking to make feature films? Like, do you want to do just, because I mean, you know, short films, when they're really good, I mean, you can raise in Oscars for short films. So it's not, you don't have to make a feature length, but is that a goal of yours at some point? Would you like to do that?
You know, it's funny, right? If I ever got like an opportunity to make one, I absolutely would. Now, whether or not I'll make that happen on my own, I don't know, because it's a lot to make like a 10-minute short. You know,
Right.
it's a lot of wrangling and a lot of figuring things out and a lot of favors and all that. And like a feature is just that times 7. So maybe, who's to say what's going to happen in the future?
Right.
But I would have to think of like the why, and if I had a script I was really in love with,
Right.
and there was a good why, like I really think with this script and this guy, we might have something, then maybe. But it's hard to say,
Right.
I'm open to anything, but I'm also happy with shorts, and even when I make a short that say we shoot for like 3 or 4 days, I'm like, I need to start doing some 2-page shorts where we shoot for a day.
I love that. What do you
And,
want people to get from your films when they watch them?
really, like, I just do it as a form of self-expression,
Okay.
and, just something to keep me from going crazy,
Right.
to keep my, like, my existential crisis at bay, essentially. And that's really it. It's just a form of self-expression. I love the idea of like getting a group of friends together and everybody being willing to like help each other with their like weird thing. Um, I just feel like it's such a cool use of our time. And then we have this little thing, like this little memory.
Absolutely.
Um,
We were talking about earlier, how you were talking about, maybe some people don't like, or maybe say something about whatever film. How do you, I can guess, but I just want to ask for the audience, how do you deal with that? The gosh, how do I say, conflicts or people being dislike, criticism, goodness
oh,
gracious, criticism,
oh,
criticism.
oh my
My
gosh. I
bad.
guess that's kind of like difficult actors.
Ye-
Like I haven't dealt with it because I feel like, and essentially, like, people just don't watch my movies. Now, if
Right.
all of a sudden, to anybody out there, if you were willing to watch the movie, and then had a negative comment, that would be great. It would at least be engagement, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So
Right.
I would love to have that problem. I would love to have some movie that the internet decided to like, talk about, even if
Right.
negatively.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. It was funny thing because I had my first experience with negative feedback. I was reviewing the new the Roadhouse film,
Oh,
and I made some statements. And my director and editor producer over at Movie Lovers Unite, he loves to get a discussion going, so he made a short out of that criticism that I gave the film. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. This film has a following of people, and his comment section was, does she even watch guy films? Yeah, I watch films. Sorry, but yes, I do, and how could she say that? And what does she mean that no one asked for this film to be made? Because you know, and they're like, who asked for films to be made? That's not the point. I know no one asked for any film to be made, but yeah, I mean, I got lit up, and it was the first time. And then it was like, I was talking to my John, who did the short, and I'm like, dude, if you make another short, like, please, make sure that we put something else up, because they took it out of context. But his thing was, that's good though. It's a discussion.
mm,
Regardless, they're
mm.
having a discussion about what said. That's the point. And sometimes they're not going to be nice. But it was like kind of nervous at when you're getting that feedback from people. So I wonder, and I didn't think you'd really be like, who cares? Like you said, they're talking. They're talking, and that's the point.
Yeah. Well, and too, like, I mean, like you watched Roadhouse and you were like, whatever, who asked for
Right.
this? That's exactly what I would say too, is who asked for
Right.
this?
Thank you. Who asked
But
for
like,
this?
yeah, yeah. And I know what you mean, because there are
Oh,
movies where you're all, oh, this is for somebody. But yeah, that
yeah.
is an example of,
Of course.
you
Of
know,
course.
maybe some MMA people. But
And
like
that's, yeah.
with movies, it's funny with like movies like real movies, right? Um, I can watch, a real movie, and obviously a ton of work went into it, whatever. And I'm like, you know, I'll have my
Right.
opinion, yada, yada. But it's so different, like for like me and the people I work with at our level. Like we go to all
Right.
these screenings in town and stuff, and it's all like local filmmakers showing their shorts. And it's just such a, like, no offense, such a lower bar where you're like, you know, okay, was that, oh, that was, you know, you did this cool, or that was neat, or, you know, maybe it wasn't amazing, but you'd be like, I'd be curious to see what that guy was doing next, or that girl was doing
Right.
next.
Right.
So it's just so different. And I feel like, at least, you know, in person at these things and stuff, everybody's kind of in that boat. So everybody's usually pretty generous. So there's not a lot of negative
Right.
heat, but I welcome it.
I get that. And it hasn't been like, honestly, I've been on a lot of sets. I've worked with a lot of people here in town. Sacramento, like I was telling Ethan, Sacramento, we have a loving community. I mean, I haven't experienced any of that, but you know, then you know, when you do a movie review and you review something that, of course, people love, of course, there's a following, and you say something that's not right, you know, learn my lesson. Not that I'm going to change how I feel about something, because if I don't like it, you know, then I don't like it, and I'm going to talk about it, but not just going to crap on it just for the sake of, you know, something bad, you know. So in your short, we'll say short, you probably will say short, but I think a long career so far, what valuable lessons have you learned throughout your career as a director and a writer so far?
Man, just make the thing, you know. Like I made something this Saturday, and I was editing it last night, and I don't think it's gonna work out. But that's the thing is, I always, like, I had on my bulletin board for the longest time, like, you have to allow yourself to fail, you know, because it's like, if you don't try, you're not going to do anything, you know, and like, and it's hard though, because that thing on Saturday, I was editing it and I'm just like, I don't know if this works, you know, and I found myself getting down about it. But then, you know, I remember that, and I remember, like, that's the idea, is like, you know, don't get in your own way. Just keep doing the thing. Just keep making stuff. You'll just keep getting better. And I think that's the, you know, that's what I could have used like 20 years ago, is just, hey, write a crappy short, write 10 crappy shorts, right? Because maybe the 11th one will be okay.
Right.
And same thing with making them. It's like, just keep making them and try different things, you know, because sometimes if it's like a random idea, you don't know. And what's cool with that is at least it feels like it's different, you know, because you're like, I don't know how this is going to go. So I like that. I like just feeling free to just make bold decisions and just go for it. And, you know, don't try to, you know, the last thing we need is another just rom-com to have a rom-com, or another horror just to have a horror to go, oh, I did the thing, you know, like the other guy. Just anything, like, take chances.
Right.
Be bold.
What do you do for fun? I mean, besides writing, that you're into? Do you play games? Are you like, what do you do?
Well, I actually, it's funny. I just injured myself playing pickleball before this interview. I went after work, and I went to go play it at Southside Park, and I like tweaked my calf or something. So I've been really bad, like, since Bella died in December. And so my world has been a little off, and I've been like writing a lot, which is good.
Yeah.
But I think that I have a hard time with balance. So I think I like will go too much one way or the other. So what do I do for fun? Try to figure out how to have more balance in my life.
Okay. You know, with Bella being gone, like I told you earlier, I can't have another pet. I just couldn't hurt. Have you thought about that since she's, I know it's so soon, but have you thought about that? Would you get another pet?
I just recently was thinking, I was going to wait until like Christmas. Like I was like, I'm going to wait a year and, you know, give myself some space and all that. But I was with like my niece and nephew, and they have a dog, And I think the combination of the three, like niece and nephew and dog, I was with them for the weekend, and I just realized, like, I'm in such a better mood when there's like, well, young people, like kids, but then animals. And I think having a dog around is kind of like a kid, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you're like cleaning the house and you're like talking to it and like saying name, calling it like
Right.
sweet names, and just all of the like joy and kindness that comes out, in that moment. I had that realization that I was like, I'm going to get a dog sooner because I need that in my life.
Right.
And I'm definitely missing it. So soon.
Good.
I think like July or August, I'm probably going to get a new
Okay.
puppy.
Okay. Yeah, my husband, he had it. Obviously, he grew up on a ranch, so he had a lot of pets on that ranch, a lot of animals. But he had a dog named Max. Max died, and so he felt the same way. But he's like, when we retire, he's like, I think it'd be good for us to get a pet again, for you to have a pet again, because I see so many dogs. I'm like, oh my God, they're so cute. He's like, you want a pet? I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, you don't, not right now. But eventually, you think about that. It's just, your film described it perfectly. And the film is called 35 in Dog Years. And you guys need to check that film out. If you're a pet owner, it makes you think. And if you were a kid that owned a pet and you just remember losing that pet, his take on, from the dog's perspective of getting older, is brilliant. I really love that. 5 years from now, where do you think you'll be? Where would you like to be? Not think. Where would you like to be in 5 years as far as your career is concerned?
Oh, in 5 years? In 5 years, I just hope that like my friend group of filmmakers and like interesting people in SAC that are doing artistic things, I hope that community just continues to grow for me, and that I can keep getting my friends to help me with their projects. And I hope that I just keep meeting cool new people that are doing projects and that I can help them with that. And honestly, even if it just is that in 5 years and I'm still just doing that sounds cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because for me, this is very much like a hobby. If it ever went anywhere else, that'd be great, but that's okay. Yeah.
I'm with you on that. As podcasting is something that was just given the opportunity to do. And for me, as long as I'm able to create, you always want, for me, I want big things to happen, but that's not when I get on here, it's just, I just enjoy speaking to people and I'm able to create, and just, that makes me happy, being able to create some type of art, whatever it is. So what do you have? What are you working on now? What can we look forward to seeing from Ethan?
Oh, well, yeah, like I said, I did shoot something Saturday night, but that's just a small thing. But I'm also working on a new project, a movie called Asses and Elbows. It's like a government, like bureaucracy kind of like farce kind of movie. And that one I'm actually trying to get locations. It's just one location. It's supposed to be kind of like an old Elks Lodge, or like like an old room like that, where they might have like a meeting, a government kind of meeting. So right now I'm like looking all around in Yuba City and here in SAC, and sending emails to the YMCA and all of that, trying to line up a spot, and then we'll run with that. So hopefully I can shoot that in like July.
Okay. Well, congratulations on all of that. I enjoyed watching your films. You guys, you can, in the description of the video, you'll be able to link up to 35 in Dog Years. Give it a go. You guys will love it. Also, The Worst, starring Trevor Harris, who was on the show. His take, the way he writes his films, it is really funny. And I enjoyed laughing when I didn't know I was going to laugh, because I thought it was going to be a serious film, because this guy's losing his job and you're thinking, oh my gosh. And then as you watch it and the things that are going on, and it just, him being him, funny film, great film with Bella. Rest in peace to Bella. And I really thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to meet you, to have met you. I was looking forward to this interview. Thank you, Trevor Harris, for introducing me to Ethan. And just to let you know, you're always welcome to come back. If there's something that you're doing with a new film, you want to come back and just do a promo. We can do a half-hour promo, talk about that film. Just let me know. I always invite guests back after a few months, or if they have a project, they'll hit me up and say, can I get 30 minutes of your time? So please, you're always welcome. It was a pleasure meeting you. You're funny as heck. You're really talented, and I can't wait to see what else we're going to get from you. So
thank you.
You guys, this is Sacramento writer, director, actor at times, Ethan Eskilson. And you guys, as soon as this is done, you can watch the replay on YouTube. I'll also send you a link. Don't go anywhere. You guys, so let's see. On Monday the 17th, Grandview's coming back. He's coming back from LA. We're going to do an interview. He has a new album out. It drops on June 21st. So he'll be here on Monday the 17th before the album drops. We're going to do a little promo. I can't wait to talk to Grandview. He's an amazing artist right out of LA, and he's doing big things. So I appreciate Team Grandview for allowing Rossie's Clubhouse to interview Grandview again. Also, guys, June 24th, I have Hayla V coming back. We're going to kick the summer off with Hayla V. You guys remember her. Her interview's up, a talented young artist out of Sacramento. And you guys can go back, go to Rossie's Clubhouse. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, check out Affiliato. He has just dropped today. Yum's Awkward is coming. His will drop as well to my listeners. Thank you all. Also, guys, go to Rossie's Clubhouse. Good Pods, Apple, wherever, Spotify, Amazon. Please leave me a 5-star review if you like my content. And here on our YouTube channel, go to Rossie's Clubhouse, give us a like, comment, share. It's easy and it helps this channel to grow. So I appreciate you all. And Ethan, stay in the back, Ethan. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be out. I hope you guys like the new audio that we have. Bye, guys.